You're live.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. We are here. So currently, we only have 2 councillors and myself, so we don't have enough for quorum. We're waiting for Councillor Hanchar. She is on the road and should be here within a half hour. In the meantime, we do have YG from the Lands Branch here, both Ben and Laura. Hello. We are going to ask if maybe you guys would start with your presentation so that we can move through our motions after the presentation. I'm also going to entertain some questions from the gallery. So just so Lands Branch is aware, we're hoping to have some good discussion about what you're presenting. So yeah, is Ben or is Laura going to present today?
Hi, yeah, it's Laura. Ben is, I'll just, here we go. Ben is going to present, but I thought I'd just do a quick little intro, just as because I was met with council last August on the first iteration of our discussion about land development. So I just wanted to connect council to our work that we've done to date and introduce you to a new team. So Ben is leading the new land development team. Marcel, who had been working on Watson Lake, left us, I guess in the fall, in October. So we have a big team working on Watson Lake. We're really keen to move some projects ahead, and Ben is leading that group. So last August, we presented an overview of some of the areas that we're working on, and we were seeking some feedback from you. So this, and we had promised to come back in November with an update. We were waiting on some work. So our November date got bumped to now, so this is our follow-up date. Quite a bit of work has taken place, and we're just looking for some guidance and feedback so we can get moving on projects, work with LFN. We understand that the town of Watson Lake and LFN have been doing some work and are looking to develop a bit of an agreement moving forward. And that's great for us too, and we will base our foundation of work on that to consult with LFN on our projects going forward. So I'm going to hand it over to Ben, and nice to see you all there. And Ben, you can take it away.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Laura.
Ben, I'll put, so you have screen share.
Thank you. Great. Let me just.
Oh, that's me. There, hang on. There you go.
Okay, let's see if I can do.
There we go.
Okay, can everybody see my screen there?
Yep.
The presentation, great. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for the opportunity to present to council. So yeah, again, my name is Ben Campbell, and I'm a senior project manager with Community Services Land Development Branch. So as Laura mentioned, I'm going to just provide an overview of some of the land development initiatives we're working on in Watson Lake. So just so you know, there's a few project managers working from our branch that are working on the various projects in Watson Lake, but I'm the one that's primarily responsible for being the main point of contact for the land development initiatives for Watson Lake. So just my role there. Just before I get into the projects, I wanted to provide a quick overview of our role in land development. And I won't be long here, but so we're the developer of Yukon land. So whether it's new subdivisions or infill of vacant YG land in existing neighborhoods, a big role here is that we need to work closely with municipalities who have a have a large role in land development as well. So municipalities set the direction through their OCP and zoning bylaws. They identify potential areas for development. They help set the servicing standards, and they're the regulatory authority. So they issue, say, development permits or other authorizations. So we often work directly with municipalities regarding feasibility, planning, and design of new development areas. We also we work on different types of development. So that includes service residential development, country residential development, industrial and commercial development. And so for these projects, we often need to hire consultants and contractors to plan, design, and eventually construct the development areas for eventual lot release. So before I begin on the projects, I also want to stress the importance of working both with the town of Watson Lake and Liard First Nation. So for these projects, consultation and communication with Liard First Nation is critical to ensure that interests are known, priorities are established, and opportunities for collaboration are found. So I'm going to get into the projects here. From what I understand, I think a project matrix table and the sort of overview maps were provided to council. So these are the two maps here, the overview maps, but so they basically show the land development initiatives. So I won't go into too much detail now, as I understand you have copies of these maps, but this map here shows the proposed development projects near the town core, so including industrial and residential projects. The second map here just shows the projects that are closer to the airport and Watson Lake itself. So these are the potential country residential developments. So now I'll go into detail around each site. So I'll provide a high-level update on each one with specific questions to you to get some direction here. So I'll go through the industrial areas first. So site one is the South Yukon forest property, which is an approximately 21 hectare cleared site that is a former sawmill building and other debris on it. Recently, we hired 3 Picas, which is a planning consultant, to complete a design for the area, and approximately 8 industrial lots could be fit on the property. Some of the work that we completed to date includes feasibility work. So we did phase 1 and 2 environmental site assessments. We also did geotechnical assessment. And as mentioned with 3 Picas, we completed some initial planning and concept work. So the slide here just shows the proposed concept on the slide. In terms of next steps for the site, there's a need to amend the OCP and zoning bylaw. Some additional environmental site assessment work is needed to get more information on groundwater contamination. And yes, a subdivision and development work is needed. So moving forward, we've identified some proposed options for the site. This includes creating an industrial subdivision as outlined in the 3 Picas design. So that's the 8 unserviced industrial lots. We could subdivide the site into 2 larger lots, which would be I guess a simpler process, but would result in less lot yield. Or we could just release it as 1 large lot. No matter the option, we do need to find out more information on the groundwater contamination issue that was encountered in the wells that were located on the site. So this work will occur in fall 2021. So the project timelines have been extended. We also need to determine if the debris and the building on site can remain as is, or if it needs to be removed prior to sale. So we're working with Yukon Government Justice on that specific issue. So the questions to consider for the site are, should an OCP and zoning amendment be considered for the site? If so, should it be part of the OCP zoning review that is occurring right now that the town of Watson Lake is doing? It might make sense to include it in the OCP zoning review since that's sort of more of a comprehensive look at the overall planning for the town. And there's public engagement component as part of that as well. And the second question is, of the options listed, which option should be pursued further? So I don't know how it works for you, if you'd like to kind of go through each site in detail, or I can just finish everything and we can revisit them, or whatever sort of kind of works best for you.
Well, we do want to have some public engagement, so maybe we could go through all of them, and then we can feed back to the, if you're looking for specific answers, we'll try and get answers to each one for you. But for now, let's go through all of it and then maybe get the public engagement, and then if you need, I can give you the decisions on each one.
Perfect, sure.
Okay, thank you.
So the second industrial site is the Rudy's former land treatment facility. So it is an abandoned site that is cleaned up and no longer listed as a contaminated site. So depending on the size of the parcel, it could accommodate a range of unserviced industrial lots. The area already has the right OCP designation for industrial development. There's been some work completed on the site, including environmental site assessments. So it now is a clean site, and some preliminary subdivision work. So a subdivision application has been submitted for one large lot. So that's for the Rudy's footprint itself. However, it's been placed on hold to confirm the exact area first. So next steps for this site are confirming whether we should do planning work for a larger area. So the sketch here on this slide shows the Rudy's footprint in red, but there's also the opportunity to look at a larger area in purple. So this could actually mean a much larger subdivision and a higher lot yield. So there's an opportunity there. Other next steps include further feasibility work and then subdivision road upgrades and lot sales. So the proposed options we've identified for the site are just to continue with the creation of the one lot. So that's the former Rudy's footprint, and release a lot. This is the simplest option, but also means that there could be land inefficiencies and lower lot yield. We could subdivide the Rudy's footprint into a few lots. For this option, we'd have to do additional assessments, engineering and design, and road improvements. It would result in smaller lots, about 0.5 hectares or 1.2 acres in size. And the third option is our recommended one, which is to expand the area outside the Rudy's to investigate a larger subdivision, approximately 15 hectares in size. So to do this, some additional planning and suitability work would be required, which would extend timelines, but could result in the highest lot yield satisfying industrial demand for a while. We've already identified a consultant who could do this work, but we just need to confirm first before hiring that consultant. So the question to consider is the options listed above, what should be pursued further. Moving on to our last industrial site, which is a single unserviced lot off of Centennial Avenue. There has been lots of work that's been completed for this site, including feasibility work, and it does meet the current OCP and zoning bylaw for industrial. Next steps for this site include completing a subdivision application, investigating and doing access and power improvements. It's possible that we could look at releasing this lot in late 2021. Really only see one option here, which is to create a one lot. A larger area was previously investigated here, but it was determined to not be cost feasible. So this one parcel would be about 1.2 acres in size, so half a hectare. And so the question to consider for the site is, should we move forward with this one lot? Just to confirm whether this is a priority, essentially. I'll now move on to the second category, which is serviced residential sites. So the first one is a new area that's recently been identified. So it's called Block 4, lots 2 to 6. So there's really 5 existing surveyed lots in the town center near Stikine Avenue and 8th Street. So this is a new site. So there hasn't been much work done, but it does represent a very good infill opportunity. So work we've done so far is we've done some initial scoping work. We've also met and had conversations with our fellow infrastructure development branch at Community Services, who's overseeing the overall water and sewer upgrade work. And there's really an opportunity to coordinate with them to get services put into these lots. So next steps for this site are feasibility work to see whether it's suitable from a geotechnical, environmental, and servicing perspective. One thing we need to look at is whether there's slopes on the site and whether that poses constraints for, say, servicing upgrades and stuff, connections. And then we also need to work with the infrastructure group to include services to these lots as part of their upgrades. From what I understand, this overall, this area is identified as the first phase of their infrastructure plan. So that's actually a good thing in terms of timing. So hopefully, if it all works out, there could be services put in sooner rather than later. So options for this site are to proceed with further work and complete initial feasibility investigations and servicing design, or since this is a new site and kind of new to people, the second option is not to pursue land development in this area. So the questions for consideration are, should this project be added to our list as an active land development project? We think there are benefits to doing this as another residential area. And should we proceed with next steps? Next site is Francis Avenue, which you're all likely very familiar with as a high priority residential area. So there's some existing surveyed lots that can be serviced and released. So the work that has been completed includes feasibility work. So we've done detailed geotechnical assessments on drilling. And engineering is currently at about 50% design, so it's well underway. Next steps include finalizing the engineering design and tender package. Construction is still tentatively set for 2021, and lot release tentatively set for fall 2021. As for options, we're proposing to proceed as planned with the project, including design and installation of road and services to phase 1 lots. I understand that there's a potential future expansion above Francis Avenue, so a phase 2 area, but that might require further discussions and possible zoning amendments as this area is identified as green space. So the question for consideration is related to phase 2. So that future expansion area may require an amendment to the green space buffer above or north of Francis Avenue, should this be considered now or later. Okay, and I'll wrap up by talking about the last category here, which is country residential areas. So the unserviced residential areas. The first of the sites is Thompson Drive. So this is the proposed 10-lot expansion in existing subdivision on Watson Lake. And I understand you're pretty familiar with this specific initiative as well. So work completed for the site includes feasibility work. So we've done a lot of feasibility work related to environmental site assessments, geotechnical assessments, and heritage assessments. We've hired Stantec to do the preliminary engineering, costing, YESA process and subdivision process. And then I also understand that OCP and zoning amendments are currently before council right now in the council process. Some of the next steps include we need to finalize and review final groundwater sampling results. So a report that Tetra Tech did indicates that soil and groundwater sampling is clean, but there's some recommended mitigations, include removing some historical dump debris on a portion of the site and requiring future lot owners to sample wells that they install. OCP and zoning amendments are required. And we also need then move on to complete the design and YESA process. So options for the site are to proceed with next steps or not proceeding with the development. So the questions to consider are, we've received a proposal from Stantec, who is, as I mentioned, is doing a bunch of work on the site anyways. So they could be hired to do some public engagement and Liard First Nation consultation work on the development proposal at this stage, including on the proposed concept. And so the question is, should this work be undertaken while the OCP zoning amendment is occurring to get public comments on that and revising the concept and development proposal? And the second question is, should we proceed with next steps on this project? The next two areas, country residential areas, are the Mount Macon Ski Hill and Joni Friend Road. They're both considered slightly longer term potential country residential areas. So the Ski Hill development is a possible 8th lot country residential development off of the existing Ski Hill access road. There's been some initial feasibility work completed. In addition, Three Picas planning consultant has developed an OCP zoning amendment report that includes a proposed concept sketch. Development is considered feasible from a high level perspective, but there's some issues to resolve, including working with the airport and NAV Canada, as the site does project into the outer surface plane of the airport. But from what I understand, some exceptions can be granted due to the site-specific nature of the area. Other next steps include consulting with Liard First Nation on the site, engaging with the public on the proposal. We would need to amend the OCP and zoning bylaw and doing future feasibility and detailed planning work. Options for the site include proceeding with next steps, including amending the OCP and zoning bylaw. The recommended option here is just to sort of wrap it up and include it in the OCP zoning review that the town of Watson Lake is undertaking, rather than a separate amendments, just because it takes a comprehensive look at the overall development there. The other option for this is not to proceed with the proposed development and not proceed with next steps. So the questions to consider are, should an OCP and zoning bylaw amendment be considered for the site? And should it be included in the OCP zoning bylaw review? And should we proceed with next steps on the site? So the last detailed site here is Joni Friend Road, which could provide a substantial number of lots in a couple of phases. I think approximately 27 lots could be provided. It's a larger development. Similar to the Ski Hill, we've done some initial feasibility work, and Three Picas has produced a OCP zoning bylaw amendment report with proposed concept shown here. There's a number of next steps for the site, including consulting with the airport and NAV Canada, because it is close to the airport. Consulting with Liard First Nation, engaging with the public on the proposal. The OCP and zoning bylaw would also need to be amended for the site, and we'd have to do more feasibility and planning work. So for options, we could either proceed with next steps, including amending the OCP, and similar to the Ski Hill, we could recommend this be wrapped up into the OCP zoning bylaw review. The other option is not to proceed with the development at all. So questions to consider are, should an OCP and zoning bylaw amendment be considered and included in the OCP zoning review happening right now? And should we proceed with next steps on the site? So that's it for the site-specific initiatives. We also have identified potential long-term sites that have no timetable or specific direction at this point. The map here, this includes Site 9 on the map, and is the Nahanni Drive extension area. This has a number of constraints, including contamination. There's a buried fuel line on the site. There's some topographical issues, and the site is overall is cost prohibitive. And sites 10, 11, and 12 at the eastern end of town here are very preliminary and long-term areas that could be potentially unserviced country residential areas. Some initial work has been done, but they are not priority areas at this point. I just wanted to highlight some of the additional areas that we have sort of identified from a long-term perspective. So that's the end of our presentation. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to provide updates on our projects, and we welcome questions or direction from you on them. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ben. What we'll do is maybe we can just go to like industrial conversation and give you some direction from our point of view, and then we'll ask if there's any questions from the floor. If that works for you. Yep. So we'll get started, Aaron, did you have any feedback, or Councillor Labonte, about the industrials or questions?
So I do, and I'm just going to pass along Councillor Hanshar's questions and comments as well. Just, she's really trying to get here, but she's just hit Leard, so. So for the, industrial lots, are all the options on the table, or do we have to choose just one? I have a bunch of questions, just so you know.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Maybe Laura can confirm, but I think the idea is that they are all on the table, but I think from our perspective, it would be nice to kind of get some direction on what is the like one top priority industrial area, one top priority service residential area, and one top priority kind of country residential area. So we kind of have a really good sense on direction there. But no, I mean, I think everything could potentially be included and considered. It just, in terms of priority, in terms of timelines, I think it would just be a good idea to get a sense on priority for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor
So,
Labonte.
oh, sorry.
Cam had a comment.
Ben, I just wanted to give clarity on the Southeast Yukon property. It depends on, from my conversations with Pierre, who's the lead on it, it depends on the issues with the groundwater contamination, right? So this project, if it was approved by council, could be, based on his conversations with me last week, it could be up to 2023 or 2024 before those lots would be available for release.
Okay. So,
Yeah, it is. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, please. My question could be.
Oh. Yes, that's just with respect to Cam's question, that is correct. We're working with Environment Yukon, who will hopefully do a risk assessment based on those groundwater contamination, and that likely will push timelines out for this property.
Okay. And is Southeast Yukon no longer a property that we're interested in?
It's one that we had voiced concern because of the boundaries with the landfill, and we didn't know how much landfill reserve we would need. So that's where it's at, but it was also, this process was running at the same time. But since then, we've had 2 assessments done on the landfill, and currently in our current landfill reserve, without having to expand, we've got over 100 years worth of landfill space.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
not
not
priority.
a factor anymore.
Okay, okay. And sorry, I'm just reading someone else's notes. So for Rudy's land treatment facility, if it was one huge lot, do you guys have a purchaser in mind?
Not offhand, no purchaser. I would be likely released through a public process. And I'm not sure the specifics of that, but it would either be through a bid or a lottery process, I guess.
And do you feel that there is a high demand for lots like this, given COVID's lack of industry or the effect on industry from COVID?
Guess that's for us to determine.
Is that us?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
I just
us.
thought maybe like people have been calling them, or not, I thought. Lauren thought.
We've as a municipality have been receiving quite a few phone calls looking for industrial lots. Part of it is to do with Kutskaya and other industries that go with that type of business have been calling the municipality looking for lot potential. So there is interest, but it's how do you judge how many acres and how much for bang for the buck, right? And the length of time as well.
So we currently have how many industrial lots? Maybe 20?
Available right at this moment?
Yeah, one. But how many do we have existing?
Oh, there's quite a, there's probably more than 20.
25, 30?
Yeah.
So this would almost double it if we divided it.
Yeah.
Okay, my question for Rudy's site, I'm not too worried if Southeast Yukon is far out, like if we could continue some work on that, I think that would be ideal. But if it's that far out, then we kind of, like Cam's saying, we're kind of seeking some closer results. So Rudy's, with any kind of expansion of land development, you know, we have to partner and be aware of LFN's position on that. It's very strong and we're working well with them and we don't want to step on any toes. So we wouldn't say, let's expand. Also with that kind of, it extend the process of releasing that land. So would you be able to release a portion of that and continue study on expansion? Is there potential for selling what you have existing and working around what there is there so that we could make that spot bigger?
That is an option. I mean, I think just with the orientation of Rudy's, it does, if we do release it in the short term, it would result in some land inefficiencies because it's sort of how it's oriented. It would likely mean that any future phases of this expanded area would probably cut into that area a fair amount. So I think it does make sense to expand it. I think, you know, one option for expanding the site is that we do this planning work. The actual planning and feasibility work shouldn't really increase the timelines a lot. Like we've already essentially found somebody who can do the work. And it might come back that, you know, it's just not feasible at all. And then we'll go back to exploring the footprint itself. But I think it would be kind of good to know that, and I understand the sort of the concern around extending timelines. But yeah, I think there's a lot of benefit to it, but I understand the concern there.
Yeah, it's just the time frame, you know, and working with LFN, like anytime we want to expand some sort of development, that it's going to take a little bit more time. So as far as industrial goes, that's my take on that. Centennial lot, I'd say move forward for the Centennial lot at the end there. I think that's, in my personal opinion, that's a go forward, easy decision. I don't know how everybody else feels about that. But.
I mean, I think that if LFN agrees, like, I just think that the most important thing that we do first of all is to consult with LFN.
Councillor Sliger.
What's the Centennial one again?
It's right at the end.
It's the number, it's the one that's only one.
Way up.
Oh, it's the one, oh yeah, it's that one lot. I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, I know now. That one there, I mean,
One lot.
it is, yeah, it's one lot.
Mhm.
So extend the road and
One more lot than we'd have though, so
And the road's already there.
it seems like
no brainer.
it's the low hanging fruit. So it can't cost you that much to develop it.
I mean, I think all around it, that's an easy one. And if we need an immediate lot, then that would be ideal. If you don't mind, Ben, I'm going to kind of go through the list that we have. We can have an industrial conversation and then go to the residential, because I know there'll be more questions around that. But
Sure.
So I'll just go through the list, and if you have any questions, just go ahead. So Chad, are you on there? Would you like to add anything or ask a question?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Thank you. And Karine? For industrial.
No questions, thanks.
Thanks, Morgan. And Gord?
Good evening, everybody. I do have one quick question there. As I'm looking at the urgency that we have for these industrial lots and stuff, and we've had a lot for sale for a long time, and up on the end of 9th Street there, that's all cleared and stuff, and we get a little interest once in a while, but not very often, and the price isn't outrageous or anything. So I'm just wondering, really, who wants all these lots that you're trying to develop so quick?
I don't think it's immediate, Gord. I think we're just trying to do some, you know, like a 10-year, you know, it's to balance out with if we have one whatsoever. We don't want to, there has been some interest, as Cam mentioned. I mean, there's currently only one. So we're just, I guess it's best case scenario that we're looking for.
Yeah, it's you know, it's good to be developing, but I mean, it's going to be some or there's gonna be something going on. I like the idea of the, like Rudy's, the expansion with as many lots as possible down there, and also the South Yukon. I think that's a very unique opportunity for you guys if you can get that proceed with that. I mean, those two are both kind of no-brainers. They're good developments, good properties, good locations for industrial things. A lot of our industrial area, like we're over on areas, there's a lot of people with residences that shouldn't be in there, but they are in there. And the other ones, I mean, hopefully we could just turn them industrial and actually keep them industrial and get that kind of development for the community. So yeah, good.
Awesome, thanks, Gord. I kind of agree that, you know, we don't need it immediate, and if we had, you know, we should be pushing to develop what we have existing and more industrial. Absolutely.
I think that even like sometimes when we develop industrial, like in spot places around the community, like it really limits what we can do with our community. Like we can always work up to industrial. It's really hard to come back from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with Gord. Let's densify what we have as well.
Yeah, like in the area that we are there now, up by 9th Street and around to Brian's there at PJ's, you know, all those lots happen. Them guys have got residences on there and there's no actual commercial or industrial activities on them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe those should have all been residential, and maybe a reconsideration should be for zoning residential for those large lots up there.
Yeah.
And hit the industrial and keep them industrial. Don't allow this residential occupancy in industrial areas. That, you know, it might be something to consider.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll subdivide mine and make it residential for you.
There you go.
Got a good view.
There you go. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, Gord, thanks. We appreciate your comments. Valued. Janice had no questions. So for industrial, we're good, Ben. I hope you got some feedback there. You got the just to where we stand on those things. South Yukon, I mean, as Gord was saying, I think it's a unique, it's great. And if we can, I guess, proceed a little bit, but as for priority, I think to go with the Rudy's is kind of ideal. And like I was saying, and develop and then move out, that'd be the best option. But if you want to do some feasibility before we can move forward, I guess that's kind of where we're stand.
I don't know, the Rudy's thing there, I was just thinking to myself, it was a comment they've had earlier about developments that have happened. It's like, how did they allow, Y Drive, that's what it was. How did they allow like industrial to happen there? Like what were they thinking at that time, right? And I'm looking at that Rudy's lot and thinking to myself, it would be nice to have it just as is because it's already laid out and we don't have to deal with any sort of other entity from there. However, I do feel that what Ben was saying about the, you know, if you do it right, you could have like, it could be a brand new subdivision spot. We have one lot. If we did have Centennial Avenue as another lot, so then you have two industrial lots that are like low hang, like one's existing, one could be developed pretty quickly. And if you had the other one done up, Rudy's, if you had the extension done up there, then I hate to say it, but like all your problems would be solved.
I agree, kind of. I would really like to see what the results are on the contamination of the groundwater before saying my opinion, because I know that we just reviewed Rudy's. It's just that like no industrial exists out there since that's been decontaminated. So for me, it's really hard given what's happened with COVID and what we're like, you know, looking at what our priorities for our community, like, is the priority that we need a whole new set of industrial in a place where no industrial exists? Like, I personally would rather see that industrial where industrial already exists, and let's save that if we
For something
can.
else.
Yeah, because it's also beautiful farmland. It's also agricultural out there already. There's just like so many options, and I feel like we're really limiting ourselves by putting that there.
Do we have an inkling whether or not the contamination at the old Southeast Yukon site is because of its proximity to the current landfill, or is it because of stuff that they've done there?
It's their own, it's to deal with their own property. There's
Okay.
nothing coming off ours. we have monitoring wells around our landfill and we're not having issues.
Gotcha.
This is hydrocarbon on their site into the ground, into the wells they had at the building and on the perimeter.
So that's an issue because they can't have water there?
Well, yeah, it causes all kinds of stuff. There might have to be remediation done. There's so many things that have to be answered. So that's something that Ben talked about there, that it's based on, they have to liaise with the other government departments to see where it is and what the levels are and what's causing it.
I understand.
Okay, so decision wise, like, yeah, I know it's hard to make a snap decision on these things. We have had some time to think about it, mull it over. But for the sake of the lands department that have provided us this information, what kind of information should we feed back? So we're just talking about the industrial lots. Main discussion is around Rudy's and Southeast Yukon. Rudy's has existing land it's already designated industrial. And Southeast Yukon has potential, but would require 2, maybe 3 years of testing. So which way do we want to go? We want to, and there's also more potential industrial land out by Rudy's area if need be, if we need that influx of land for industrial. So I don't know. First glance, I'd say, we got that piece of industrial land, let's use it. If there's somebody who needs it, it's there, it's been remediated, we've zoned it M2 so that it's not heavy industrial. We're trying to avoid all that kind of stuff. But do we want to continue industrial out there or maybe not?
I definitely would like to see what the results from the groundwater contamination is and maybe have them go forward as planned with consultation with LFN, heavy stress on that. And I know that you said one priority, but I'd like to pick 2.
So we're only getting one industrial option, is that right?
We're just prioritizing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, forgive me if you've talked about this already, but my first priority was the Centennial extension, just because it's really easy to do and it's, and the Southeast Yukon forest property, I just feel like we hadn't really talked about that before, just because I think we were originally thinking that it was going to be landfill overflow at some point, but Aaron said that you guys talked about that and that's not a thing anymore. So have we received any feedback from the OCP committee or any consultation as far as like what the community feels we should be using that area for? Because because I'm having a hard time, like I was looking at the options that were provided, whether it should be many lots or if it should be one big lot and leave it to whoever buys it to subdivide, blah, blah, blah. I'm having a hard time deciding what's best there just because I don't know. So that's my opinion on that one. It'd be nice to just maybe get some feedback if possible. And then the Rudy's lots down there. I guess I was assuming that it was already zoned industrial, so that was already kind of like a done deal. I agree with what Aaron's saying about like, it'd be nice to get some, especially now that it's been remediated, it'd be nice to get some input from LFN or whatever, as far as like, the effects on the land, like long-term and stuff like that. It'd be nice to have that feedback. If we were going forward with industrial there, I think that it makes sense to maximize our tax potential there by subdividing it. I think that was one of the options that was listed in the chart there. Because if there's one big, huge lot there, like who's going to buy that and what are they going to use it for? Like what's the goal there, So anyway, those are my thoughts around that.
That's great. Thanks, Lauren. It's really good.
Did you already say all that?
No.
Okay.
Anything from admin?
The Rudy's one, the whole Rudy's area, if you look at that proposed area that they're doing, that would have bought up to our property, and that whole area is already currently in the OCP. Is OCP and zoning is already done on that whole area.
Yeah.
So that's one step that doesn't have to be done. So the preamble on trying to, if it takes maybe this year to get them to figure out an access road and have the feasibility, I think it's still going to be quicker than the Southeast Yukon site. And yes, the Southeast Yukon site is a gorgeous site. It's already level and mostly cleared, But there's the things that worry me from administration is the building and the ground, the soil contamination, which could really throw a wrench into it. And then what that could throw into, and maybe Ben or Laura can confirm, but I think if it's gonna be cost recovery, if those costs have to be go into the sale of those lots, it's gonna drive the price of those lots really ridiculously high.
So cost recovery doesn't go into Rudy's though?
Well, Rudy's bunch of it was done, but if Rudy's lot stays the same as it is now, then all those costs that they can put towards the remediation that's taken place will put that lot at a real high dollar value. But if you make more lots on that property, then it'll drop the value as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
And Laura, you'd be able, or Ben, you'd be able to confirm, right? What the avenues they probably look at.
Yeah, right now, the Southeast Yukon, the work being done is being done by environment. So we managed to sort of get them to do this initial work, but that doesn't necessarily mean that any remediation work will all be covered by them. So yeah, so it is definitely a consideration for cost recovery. The approach that they're taking on Southeast Yukon is a risk-based approach. So what that means is they will assess it based on the risk of impact or risk of contamination, like the degree of contamination. So if they do their assessment and determine, yeah, there's hydrocarbons there, but they're not going to travel, or they won't have a huge impact, there may be very little remediation. So the other approach that they could take is just say there's contamination and we have to clean it all up until there's no more contamination. But the approach they're taking is more risk-based. So it could mean there's a shorter time frame, and it could mean that there's less remediation, but we just don't know at this point. So two things that costs, we could right now, the costs are being managed by environment, but future remediation costs may be borne by us. And then we have to get our money back through lot sales.
Okay. So we're kind of at a rock and a hard point because we're a little bit divided, but I'm gathering that we would like to proceed with the idea of some industrial lots. So, and ideally, because like what you're telling us with the Southeast Yukon lots, that, there's a bit of a risk there, whereas Rudy's might not have as much of a risk. So going forward, we need kind of an action point. So maybe we can do a little more feasibility before we, completely decide on which direction to go, just because, like we're saying, we don't want to start somewhere that we don't need to, essentially. So I hope that's providing some sort of feedback. I know that it's not exactly what you're looking for, but maybe help me decide, come to a conclusion for you.
Council could move ahead with the OCP and the zoning on the Southeast Yukon. So that way, in the OCP process that we're doing now, so that way when it is deemed that it's developable, we don't have to go through that process again. It's already done as one full swoop.
Yeah.
And I can't see it wanting to be anything else.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
Okay. So,
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Ben, please.
I was just gonna say, yes, that I think I have a pretty good set of direction. So from what I'm hearing, is Centennial should be identified as maybe a shorter term, the shortest term initiative as a one lot idea.
Yeah.
So we'll keep pursuing that. And I think the next level of priority is Rudy's. And I think it makes sense to do this feasibility and initial planning work. It's from our perspective, it shouldn't take a long time. It shouldn't cost a lot of money, and it really will be useful. And it could be, if there is a future direction for this area, this work will still be very useful for that, because all we're doing is feasibility and sort of initial planning work on this area, and it shouldn't extend the timelines. So I think if that makes sense, we'll proceed with that work, and and we'll of course update you as we move along.
Can we just also maybe make consultation with the community and LFM like a real priority? And we will try to do the exact same through our OCP process, because we've just run into some issues and we want to make sure that this isn't hampered by that anymore.
I don't know if it's issues as much as teamwork.
I just
We're trying to grow a working relationship. I understand.
I just need consultation
Yeah.
issues.
I got you. Okay, thanks, Ben. And I mean,
Okay.
worst case scenario, if we have an immediate demand for 900 lots of industrial, we can come back to you and say, okay, we need these lots, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to residential. Much more.
Just add something, just one thought. I just wanted to let you know, we're doing some additional work starting in April. We're trying to get a sense of across the Yukon and in just outside of Whitehorse, in the smaller municipalities, what kind of industrial demand is there, and just trying to understand the types of lots, whether they need three-phase power, whether they people need lay-down sites, whether they need any power at all, how big the lot should be. So we're trying to take a bit of probably some survey work, reaching out to the mining sector, reaching out to just different sectors to try and get a sense of what types of lots are needed. So we'll be doing that work. We've got someone lined up to do it. She just isn't able to do it until April. So we'll be reaching out to all the municipalities to get some feedback and input into the types of questions and who to contact in your area. But it should be a very useful piece, because it is a question we have. How big should these lots be? And three-phase power as opposed to single phase it's a huge price difference. So it's really important to know this kind of thing. So just wanted to flag that for you.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, like a consideration might be if our industrial need is mining, it might be more beneficial to go with the southeast, because it's going to come from the Campbell Highway. They're not going to want to go through town and back through again, et cetera, et cetera. So great. Thank you.
Yeah, plus the scales every day.
Okay, so if we could, we'll go to the residential discussion. To start with, first on your list, I think was lots 2 to 6, Ben. Right there, that's on our screen. Yeah, it is new to us. I think there is potential there, and as we've been told, and what we're working on is our infrastructure, water sewer development, right? So I think this would be a great opportunity for Watson Lake. I know it's a long term, but I think pretty unanimously we're probably thinking the same thing, unless I'm wrong.
You're not,
No?
I don't think.
No, Lauren?
I love that spot.
Okay.
I'm wondering what will come up that was gonna be like there's always something like a dump or an underlying thing there, or nobody wants it built there, or this needs a lift station. I'm wondering what is gonna be the
thing.
thing that makes that not doable now.
The nail in the coffin.
I mean, I think that garbage is a big thing to look out for there. That is like a local area where people dump their garbage.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately.
be prepared for that. But it's not like, I hope it's not industrial, but there might be some bridges.
There's
out
just these
there.
big, beautiful treed lots, and
Yeah.
it's very pretty
beautiful.
back there, so.
So, and then I'll run through from council standpoint, Francis Ave. We're really excited about this development. We have seen it on our surveyed maps for quite some time. We love the potential of it. So I guess the buffer zone is what you're looking for some direction on for phase 2. Phase 2 seems like this took us, I don't know how long to get to this point. So nothing against our current lands branch. but it's been a while. So what do you feel about the buffer point, the buffer zone?
Like I say, phase two, I'm like, we'll be dead by then.
So what do you think about the OCP and the buffer discussion?
By the buffer zone, are they talking like where the water treatment plant would draw its water from? Is that
I think it's the extension, see in the blue there off the back.
On the top end of the picture.
Yeah.
I think eventually one day they'll probably do another ring of houses.
That's the,
So eventually it will be housing. Just because I know from all the other sites that those aren't doable, so it would seem that makes sense.
I mean, it's nice to know if the residents of those locations get a buffer zone, then I think they'd be more encouraged to be there, right?
So can we just get a quick definition on that, what you mean by
Yeah, sure.
buffer area? Just because, does that mean,
It's like
so,
a green belt.
so no one's ever building there is basically what that comes down to. So like,
Laura, can you chime in?
I just want, sorry.
Or Ben?
I think, oh, you've got,
Like, is
Yeah,
that,
we were-
is that area ever gonna be suitable for a building site? Like, what are the implications of, I guess, or calling that a buffer area?
I think the question was that they wanted to know if you wanted to go through the OCP and zoning process now to have that zoned as residential as well, because right now it's green space.
Okay, that's not what
Yeah.
it says on the sidebar there.
Yes, the other way around. It's for potential for phase two expansion of another.
Okay, well, that's not what it's on here.
That's just read a little different, I guess.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
yeah, it's,
Go ahead, Laura. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think it is zoned currently green space, and we're asking to include that as a second, third, fourth, fifth phase, like, or as a future phase of residential. And just to flag here, for the cost recovery is likely going to be challenging for us. So if we're able to say this is, even if it's way in the future, if we're able to say, look, this is on top of this is a future phase of residential, we may be able to just sort of make the cost recovery picture look a little bit better. Even if we have to spread it over many years, we're able to do that. It's just if we're not going to get the recover our costs in the development that we're looking at, that's where it gets really challenging for us. So that's one benefit. I think there's some nice topography. So the upper range there would provide probably some view lots, I think. So it could be quite a nice development up there. But definitely more work has to be done. Feasibility.
I mean, as far as zoning it or putting it into an OCP as potential to lower the cost, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Lauren?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just completely misread that.
Yeah, me too. I thought we were building green space.
That was my concern.
The spot that goes behind it. That's what I was.
Okay, yeah.
I misread that. So
I mean, I would like to see green space factored into this if it was going to be a future development. It is not super hilly. It's pretty flat back there and there's room for it. I think it probably not a ton of extra cost. And I think we need to consider about what the actual value is going to be for these lots moving to Watson Lake and who we're trying to attract. So yes to some green space, yes to future development there.
So I think.
Okay, and I guess, a question around the zoning and OCP. I'm not sure if that would just be rolled into the review process, or if that kind of makes sense. And if so, then I can get the specific project manager to kind of work with you to kind of identify what is that specific area that needs to be rezoned.
And I think that'd be great, Ben. So we're in the process. So I mean, to lower the cost of those potential lots, I think that's the direction we would favor.
Okay.
So there was Francis, there's lots 2 to 6, and those are our rural residential, right? Urban, sorry, my bad. It could go to the, we'll go to, we'll do all the residential, and then we'll go to the questions from the floor. So I guess the next conversation would be around Thompson Drive. There has been lots of discussion about Thompson Drive. Lots of for, lots for opposed. I understand that there has been a lot of work done here. Yes, we have started the OCP process. We've had lots of discussion around it, so everybody knows where we're at with this. We also believe that there should be a little more consultation with LFN. We're trying to develop a working relationship, so we would appreciate that. Is there any more comments from council with regards to Thompson Drive?
Just that consultation needs to be done on this area.
I would actually encompass all country residential.
Yeah.
Any new development, any expansion from what has already been used is important to us, so.
Yeah, it seems like a little bit, we're getting ahead of ourselves. And then when it comes down to asking the community what they want, they feel like they're being left out of the process, and I don't blame them. So, just to try to, keep any obstacles out of our way in the future, like, let's just do that and make sure that we have support, and that's what our community wants first.
Lauren, do you have anything to add?
No, my only note was about the public consultation and, public engagement and LFN consultation. And I mean, aside from that, I hope eventually we will be able to move forward to the next steps of that development.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Slager?
I don't think we should build Thompson Drive.
Okay.
I think, the number one common denominator that we've heard here is consultation, and, there's no land set aside here, so that's gonna be problematic. Absolutely everyone that lives around there completely and vehemently hates the idea of these other lots being developed. I mean, we can build houses on other lots that aren't near a lake.
Okay.
There's lots of land.
So Ben, I guess we're saying you've heard how our feelings are towards Thompson Drive. So we'll just go we'll talk about our other country residential options then.
Sure.
Almation and Johnny Friend Road. Did you see the new kind of proposed area for Johnny Friend? And this is Mount Mation.
No, it just actually, because I was on my phone, unfortunately.
It's just.
I was under the impression our Mount Mation lots were in a different location than they are in this sketch. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. Like I said, we need country residential lots. I'd like it to be with a view or lake access or something. So, I mean, it looks okay. I always thought, when we first looked at the Mount Mation proposal, I thought it was up more by the chalet. I thought there was a flatter plateau up that area with, it looked a little different than what we see here. So.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know the background on this particular area. I kind of came in when a report was being prepared that showed the sites, but if there's a much different location, then yeah, there's maybe some re-examination of the area maybe is needed or something, or I can get maybe some background on why this specific specific area was chosen here.
Like along the road.
Go ahead, Laura.
Sorry, I was just going to say, yeah, it is this area. I mean, certainly the concept, and I think that's part of the feedback, right, is just on the actual concept and location. But this was, it's mainly because of the road. All of these lots are have access to an existing road, so it's easy to develop and it's inexpensive. That's sort of the main reason. So I think there was some additional area, and I think there is a bit of a bench up there, but this is the sort of preliminary. I think what we could look at is there a potential sort of expansion there? But this is the starting point because of the existing road, and it's just building access.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know there's power there, there's a road there existing, so the time frame of this might be a little quicker. Nobody lives there, so might help. Any council comments?
Yeah, I have one. I have a couple.
Okay.
I understand the road issue. However, the slope there is really steep. And so it's my opinion that any benefit that you're getting from the existing road, you're going to lose on the slope. I highly suggest a site visit in the summer, because I think once you get a look at it personally, you'll see why we don't think it would, or why I don't think it would work. The lots at the bottom aren't desirable. They're right off the highway. You can't see the lake. Anyways, on the zoning review, I hope we would just review it during the OCP, and that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, those first three lots are up on that first bench, so you would see, but it's
A little
yeah,
bit.
you can.
In the winter time only. In the summer, you can't.
I mean, for the ease of developing 8 lots,
It's just, it doesn't do us any good if they're not like, it's an absolutely beautiful spot. It's my personal opinion that that place for those lots is like, would be a waste of that spot. There's a big, beautiful flat spot right up at the top where the chalet is.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. You know, I think that this doesn't look like what we originally thought that it was
Yeah.
going to look like. That being said, just in response to the question that was mentioned on the document that we received, but whether or not it should be reviewed through the OCP and zoning rewrite process, I think yes,
Yeah.
that we should still look at it. But it was on my list of not a priority items when I was, kind of looking at, things that we would look at first versus.
as far as our OCP process goes, I do believe we should look at adding some of these as locations, whether it's there or just off there or close to. I like that area a lot. I think there's a lot of potential there. It's something we don't have much of in Watson Lake. It's got, it's kind of, it is country residential 100%. It's going to have a view. You're going to have nice quiet road space. And yeah, I guess there's some more feasibility to be done with those lots. So, Tom's?
Are they really that big in comparison to the other lakeshore lots? Like when you look at them in comparison to the other ones closer to the lake, they look
Yeah, they are
huge.
Yeah.
Well, those are like 8-acre lots.
Oh,
They're big. Those
Yeah.
are big lots.
Kidding.
Those ones are?
Yeah.
Okay.
which is a pretty big selling point too.
Well, I was just curious because it just seemed like they were, the size of like 3 of the other ones, right? So,
Some of them are up in the 10-acre area, right? The 4 hectares is getting up there.
I definitely would like to see what the community thinks about it.
I was thinking
On
about
our-
houses in California on the hills. Never in Italy, I'm sure they can manage it.
Actually, Lens Branch has been through there. They've walked that area.
Yeah.
They've got the topographical map.
Mhm.
And it really lays it out, and it isn't that extreme when you actually look at it from the topo, the elevations.
Well, maybe I need to go look at it then.
I definitely don't want to say, let's throw it out.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that spot. I just am not in love with this plan, but I
Yeah.
love that spot.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ben.
oh, I was just gonna add the sketch here, the contours are 1 meter contours that are shown on the sketch. It is steep, and I had that same question to Three Picas. Is this too steep for development? And they think there's enough benches and sort of flattish areas on these lots to allow for development. We'd have to, as we, the more focus we get on this area, the more we'd have to really delve down into the feasibility here. But And the question regarding lot sizes, there's a minimum of 1 hectare that we're sort of, we have to kind of follow with respect to unserviced residential lots now, just because of septic and wells and stuff. So you need to have a certain lot size to meet that. So I guess those ones that are kind of south of the lakefront properties are they were probably just put in before the sort of the standards were put in place regarding lot sizes and stuff.
So lot 1, 2, 3, and 5 are all steep. The rest are relatively sloped,
Yeah.
it looks like.
So there's probably water runoff. There's probably a lot of things to do with that, but I would just say, let's look at an OCP plan and see where we can look at more developable space. I mean, if that's included in that area, then that's great, but like I say, we don't want to throw it out.
I mean, there's also an opportunity, I agree. I think like if it's included in the OCP zoning review, that's great. But I could reach out to Three Picas to find out what, the specific reasons for why that area was chosen and why the upper bench wasn't sort of looked at. I would just like to kind of know a little bit more information on sort of the rationale for that. And, can there be any other work that can be done for that upper bench area?
Send us that when you know.
Keep us in the loop, Ben. Awesome. So we'll move to Johnny Friend. I can't keep forgetting Johnny Friend. This again, this concept I don't think I've seen. So it's a little different than what we initially saw. Not to say I don't like it. I actually quite like this development. My only suggestion would be to include more front lots towards the lake as phase 1 and maybe a different phase 2, just for, I don't know, just for the sake of having a more lake front. Even if you're not on the lake, you have a lake front, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I like it. I think that we could definitely move this forward in the OCP planning and involve LFN, of course. And I think there's lots of potential there. That looks good.
Will there be power there, obviously?
Be power. And that is very flat land. I know there's a little bit of swamp, but it's like jack pine, easy going.
It's like a 16-minute drive to work.
Goodness,
With traffic.
you're not gonna live there.
No,
Exactly.
but neither will anybody else.
Any other comments from council?
I also like it. I think it's really beautiful out here. My only concern is that I'm not like a huge fan of cul-de-sacs or long dead-end streets. It's difficult for emergency services. And other than that, I am excited about Johnny Friend Road with consultation from our community.
Of course. Lauren?
Sorry, this is the first time I've seen this little map. Sorry, I agree with Thomas. I think it's really far. I agree with Aaron about the dead end street. I agree with you about the lakefront. I don't know. It's.
If you're gonna go all the way out there, you might as well have a lakeshore lot.
Or lakefront.
Or or you just.
They're big.
This is teasing them.
They are big lots that I think
Really big lots.
that leave to, there should be some lake access, maybe some park. It is a completely concept, but as far as OCP planning, that region should not be too much of an issue. Okay. Administration, residential conversation. Good. Okay. So we're gonna thank you so much, Laura and Ben. We're gonna have a few questions probably from the gallery, if that's okay. Not, well,
Yes.
so Chad, you're first on the list. Do you have any questions regarding residential?
All good.
Or / Morgan, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so the question I had, well,
as you probably know, we had quite a few concerned residents on Thompson. That's what my conversation is about. And we, as a whole, were not really too clear on how this development was being pushed forward, if this is being driven from the YTG end and from the town council end. And we did voice a number of oppositions, and it's great, by the way, the feedback that I'm hearing about consultation. I really appreciate that not all our concerns are being heard, but now that we've decided this is something we want to do, who does the duty to consult fall with? Is this with YTG or is this with town and council?
So the stage that we're at, Morgan, is the OCP process for Thompson Drive. So to move forward with more feasibility, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, or Laura, we would have to move forward with the OCP planning so that they can do more feasibility on that area.
Okay.
Is that correct, Laura? Is that what you're looking for Thompson Drive?
Do you want to go on that, or do you want?
Sorry.
Do you want to answer that, or do?
Well, I could just say that, I mean, having clear direction through the OCP is pretty critical before we kind of proceed with any sort of next steps in this process. So I can just say that I have reached out to the consultant about this site and sort of pathways moving forward. And one option is that we could, while this OCP zoning amendment is occurring, we could engage with the public and consult with Liard First Nation regarding the proposal and the concept, and get that input and make the necessary revisions, and then keep proceeding with the OCP zoning bylaw amendment. I'm not sure if that was a kind of a specific question with the Thompson Drive site, so it would be good to kind of get a bit of direction for us on how we should proceed with that. But of course, we can go out to the public regarding the proposal.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, and just a flag too. So this hasn't. None of these have gone through YESUB, right? So that's the next step, and we can sometimes go through YESUB and gain sort of public input through YESUB, or we can do some initial work in advance of YESUB, reaching out to the public to feed into that process. And we can also, out of YESUB, if there's a lot of feedback, then we can also do some additional engagement. So there's no set the combination of what goes first and can vary, and we can we can do some more public engagement, and definitely Liard First Nation consultation in advance of YESUB, or we can let it go through the process and then do some tweaking to the design before it gets to detailed design. So.
Okay. Thanks, Laura. I appreciate that. And like you've probably heard us say over and over, collaboration and some consultation with LFN is really important to us. We want to make sure that we're trying to build a very developed working relationship with them. So first of all, them, and always more consultation. I mean, we don't want to discourage people in our community. We're trying to work well with them, and we've had a lot of feedback for Thompson Drive. So, I mean, I think we're all probably, I don't want to speak for all of us. I know that I've heard that consultation was kind of missed. I don't know if it was missed, where it was missed, how it was missed. I don't want to place blame on anybody. We're looking for country residential, but we want to make sure that it's the best suited for everybody in the community. So if collaboration is needed, then that's what's needed.
Thanks, Chris. That's great. So it kind of sounds like it's happening in a couple of different phases.
Yeah,
that does answer my question. I had one other question for you, Ben, about the feasibility work that's already been done on the Thompson Drive is that available to the public or on request to us? Because we're just, like I said before, we're kind of trying to understand the process and where it's at. And I'm learning more every time, like the YESAB is a separate to the OCP, and they both have some consultation. But if we knew exactly what this feasibility work was, maybe we'd have a better understanding and what the whole process is and where our opportunity is to give input.
Yeah, I think, yeah, so you're right with Thompson. We have done a bunch of work, geotechnical. You probably noticed I think there was some drilling that happened last fall, and the report associated with that, and there was some environmental site assessments, and some of the reports are still coming in as I speak. But I think one idea that like if we are to do this additional public engagement, Liard First Nation consultation during the OCP zoning amendment phase, was the idea of preparing a bit of a brief a report that kind of summarizes all the information and then providing that to the public just to help kind of inform them about the initiative a little bit more. So I think that's certainly something that we've identified that would be useful for the public. Your question regarding specific reports, I don't know, unfortunately, I don't know if I don't really know the answer on whether we can kind of provide specific reports at this point, but that's something I can certainly look into.
Yeah, I mean, I think just having an overall picture of what we found.
Okay. Yeah.
Is
yeah.
We don't need all the technical stuff. I mean, there might be
okay.
something that was available.
Sure. Well, yeah, that's exactly the proposal would be to prepare sort of a bit of a summary for the public about the initiative. And then we would host like a session with the public and go from there. So giving it to them in advance and then having a session for sure.
That sounds great. Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks, Morgan. Your time's up.
I was just going to add to that, and you know, when we move through the YESA process for subdivisions, that the feasibility work often is just part of the packages that get sort of uploaded into the YESA process, so they're available for the public, and they're just in the system. You can go and look at them anytime. It's just that on this one, there still are some reports not fully complete yet.
Okay, thanks, Morgan. I hope you got what you're looking for there. Appreciate your questions. So next on the list, Gord.
Hi there again. I've got a couple comments. I'll start first with Francis Avenue and direct this to Ben and Lauren there. I think that's a terrific development area. And as a previous chairperson of the OCP many years ago, and looking back to the forefathers of the day before, that loop used to come around, or it was designed to come around and continue over to Peter's trailer park there and then over to the Alaska Highway. Don't see any of that in your plans going forward here as to continuing that. I know we were always quite concerned about intensifying that area, and with the elementary school, all the traffic goes through on Highland or Liard. It brings everything there. And now with the water treatment plant there, you have quite a few trucks, etc., using that area. So that development is going to intensify that area. There's going to be a lot more traffic in that area. The school is going to take the brunt of that. That industrial type stuff from the water plant should really be going through Peter Trailer Court and out to the Alaska Highway. That's always been, like, even the forefathers before, that ways back to Dale Ireland days. The reason those roads are arched like that is because intent way back. And it seems to me that in every map and every drawing I see that road has been missed and no longer there. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts on that are, and if there's any thought of that, or if you have thought.
Want me to answer that, Ben?
Sure. Do you want to take a stab?
Yeah, I think so that has been raised, and I think the project manager who's looking after that, it's they're going to look at that. It's actually an extra kilometer of road plus, I think, to get from there to the highway. So I think it will likely trigger, and I don't know if it's fully developable. So building an extra kilometer of road where there's no development potential, and I'm not saying that's necessarily the case, but that would be a challenge. So I can just say that the PM's going to look at traffic and just take a look at she's got her team just kind of looking at that road and doing some cost analysis, but also looking at the traffic implications for this development and looking where traffic could go. So those components are being considered. I think on the initial look, it's a long chunk of road, and it likely would be hard to cost recovery.
And something else that sort of chime in there, Your Worship, but something else that was noted when they had done some primary look in there was some heritage areas that were identified on that first go. So that was just something I wanted to bring forward too. But it has been raised, Gord, in all our meetings, and it's trying to find the dollars and cents to go with it.
So it might have to be a shared project at one point, but we do recognize that traffic, and I hope that it's still in our OCP planning. I think
I think at one time there was actually room for a few lots along that kilometer of road. It wasn't all wasteland. There was, I can remember, I think there was probably room for about 8 more lots in there, which would certainly help with the cost recovery. It was effectively, it's a usable area there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other areas that I'm going to talk about too is Mountain Nation. There, the lots there, that's directly above my place. Everybody's got concerns around their place, but I think those lots are actually quite awesome. I've walked that area, and for anybody that's been up there, it's not. I mean, I'm a developer. I've got equipment that can move things and stuff. Those are ideal lots for if you want a south-facing view. You won't get any better lots anywhere in Watson Lake than those lots.
Okay.
My only concern with them is I do know we have free-flowing water off Mount Nation that comes down into some of the residents' lots down below. I think of, Scott Allen just a few doors over, he's got an 8-inch culvert that runs out of the ground that picked up the artesian type well that's almost at the surface, barely below the Campbell Highway. And also along the lake, there's quite a few that have water. So I'd be concerned about septic and water in those conditions. Ideally, as far as I know, quite a few councillors are concerned about developing. As far as those lots go, I'd love to be up there building homes. That's an awesome place to build. The view is unbelievable. Won't need to take your vitamin D if you live up there. Beautiful.
Awesome.
So then the other one, going out to Johnny Friend, as a person that owns Lakeshore, I don't understand why we would even consider developing lots out there that aren't 100 feet from the shore's edge. These cul-de-sacs, these lines, and these other lots, the first thing we should be doing is developing lines along your dotted line there, the black line that comes out behind the other original lots that are there. And we should line that up with lots so that we can develop lake lots that are feasible and viable for general public to enjoy the lake as I do. And I would be fully in favor of some kind of development that brings people to the lake. Instead of having them the way they have those lots laid out there. That should be the first consideration. I'm not sure who designed that or where they were going with it, but definitely not something that we ever want.
Yeah, it's just a concept.
Type of development. It needs to be changed, and those lots should be all running right along that little black dotted line, just like the ones down there at the end are that are on the shoreline. It could be, they could be on the north side of that line, but I mean, they should be all the way along that line with a road side there. And any chance to develop along the lake that you can be there for people, as a person that lives out here, I would absolutely be in favor of that, and I think that would be a great development then. But the way it's laid out now, the lot shape they are now, it's a waste of good space that could be a very great beneficial and change lifestyles of people. The lakeshore lifestyle is one to be desired, and that needs to be addressed.
Awesome.
That should be where you're heading with that.
Gotcha. Yeah, we agree. We agree. We're kind of in the same viewpoint there, Gord. Thanks. Is there anything else? Your time?
Well, that's good. That's me for tonight, folks.
Awesome. You're out of time. Thank you. Appreciate your feedback. Much appreciated. Okay, so I have Janice.
Mic on?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Chris?
Hi, how are you?
Good, it's Randy here. I'll try to be. Good to go, Chris?
Yep, go ahead.
Just two comments and then a question. In your proposals and diagrams and stuff, originally it was suggested that those are just sketches and the size of lots could be altered. And none of these proposed developments have been surveyed with property pins or anything. So I think size of lots is just not to be a deterrent. I mean, man, you could have some bigger or some smaller depending what the demand is. Second comment is at the ski hill and the slope of those lots. And yes, I really agree that the Johnny Friend area is much flatter, but a sloping lot can be an awesome thing. And of course, the person buying just has to realize there is perhaps some increased costs in that. But when you look at a lot like Gord Sunbees or the old Scott Allen's, the Tim Nearing lot, or Jamie Weedmark, wow, what beautiful things you can do with a sloped lot. And that view facing south, I mean, you know, just spectacular. People can decide, do they like the view and access to the ski hill or Johnny Friend where it's a little flatter, if it was possible to do both, you know, I mean, pick one or the other, but I wouldn't write off because of the slope. I mean, it depends on the size of the lot. And well, I guess it's three comments, because I had another comment just when Gord mentioned that loop road and about the safety and trying to take some of the traffic away from the elementary school and stuff. To say a kilometer of road is expensive in a very flat jack pine flat, gee, I don't know. I think safety should be a big priority, which brings me to my pet peeve really is the Campbell Highway intersection with the Alaska Highway running right beside the high school, the recplex, the visitor center, and the band office. I can't believe that's not on the priority list to move that out by the dump road or through the middle of that LFN sawmill or whatever we call it, Highland sawmill. But anyways, that's just something to think about. Safety matters, and that's an accident waiting to happen, but it doesn't seem to be on anybody's radar. Now I realize that's probably not Ben's department because you're into developing lots and properties and things, not highway realignment. But that brings up my question to Ben. Since you said you're the lead on this, I just was curious if the concerns expressed by the residents on Thompson Drive, the 12 closest residents, did you get that information? Did your consultants that were hired from Stantec, did they pass that information on to you? Because there was at least 8 submissions or concerns. So my question is, does that really get back to you, or should I have found out who you are and made sure people contacted you personally?
I've seen the submissions, the public hearing. I think you're referring to the public hearing submissions. Yeah, so I've seen them and I've read them. Yeah, I think Liard First Nation provided a written submission, as well as many of the existing residents of the area. So I've seen that information.
Perfect. Okay, thanks. Just making sure that, you know, everything got to you and then we wouldn't have to resend it. So thanks everyone. That was just a few comments I had on the subdivisions and stuff. But it's looking good. I'm glad to see some land available, and hopefully there's a demand. That's going to be awesome. So thank you very much. That's all for me.
Thanks, Randy. You're gonna let Janice talk, or Janice, do you have a question? Just kidding.
I do not have a question.
Okay. Thanks, Janice. Thank you. Okay, so Leela and Jerry, do you have any questions for the Lands Branch?
No, thank you. It was very informative.
Thanks, Leela. Okay, with that, Ben and Laura, I hope you have more than you need to go forward. We really appreciate you taking the time today. This was great for us. I'm sure lots of the members that have signed on today appreciate giving you some feedback on what we feel is important. What else would you like from us?
I think we have some good direction. I especially, the industrial sites, I have a very good idea on sort of moving forward with the levels of priorities and next steps on each of the sites. I think, I got direction about the sort of the Mount Machin and Johnny Friend Road, maybe looking at some changes to the concepts to look at, with Johnny Friend looking at orienting the lots more towards the lake. Mount Machin maybe looking at the upper plateau area. But I think overall, I think those two sites, there seems to be a lot of support for including them in the OCP zoning bylaw review that's happening. Thompson Drive, I think I have some direction. I think this is the one question about whether we should be reaching out to the public right now regarding this, because we can get started on that work. That is maybe still a bit of an outstanding question for me. So I'll just flag that one, and then just Francis Avenue. I think we have good direction there, but I've made a note about investigating the road extension idea as well for our project manager responsible for that project.
Awesome. Yeah, I think what I heard for as far as Thompson Drives, the ongoing consultation, some more would be appreciated. I know that you guys have put a lot of work into that development, and we really appreciate it. But as you've heard and read, that there is some concerns, so some ongoing consultation would really be appreciated. Our feedback from Mount Machin development is great. Those guys do live there. They've obviously spent a lot of time there. So, we're going to definitely we want to pursue some locations in that area. So thank you. Yeah, I think that's about it. Again, thank you very much. We have quorum now, so we're going to go through our regular council meeting. You do not have to attend. It's quite fine. But we really appreciate it. And obviously, Cam's our contact point, and we love to engage on this topic. It's important for this council. We've been trying to work hard on it. But yeah, we really appreciate you being here tonight, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great. Yeah, I'm very interested in lots in Watson Lake. That
Steeler Lakefront.
the description of the view.
Yeah.
I just had one last question just on the country res. Like I don't have a sense there's a priority of those three areas. It sounds like they all have different they're hard to compare. It sounds like there's but I'm just wondering if council has a sense of number one, number two, number three in terms of what comes first.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's a tough one for us, because we the last time we had this conversation was with you, and I think our snap decision was urgency. We were pushing that. We wanted lots. We need lots. What's going to happen first? What's going to be available, right? The feedback we're getting is that we just need to make sure that consultation's right, and the Thompson Drive location is affecting residents more so than maybe the other ones would. As what we're gathering. To put a priority on it's going to be hard for us. I mean, I could give you my priority, but that wouldn't be fair. So, council, do you have any feedback on that?
I think we picked Ptarmigan Way originally, like you said, because of urgency, also because there is a fair amount of work done it already, and because they were going to be the cheapest to sell and the easiest to put in. So, that was like kind of a priority that we thought was number one in our community is, fast, cheap, effective. If I say whatever out of the three is going to be that, it doesn't look like we're gonna have anything by this summer anyways. So if we have a whole year to decide, let's just decide what's gonna be the fastest, cheapest, most effective, and have proper consultation with the community and LFN, whatever that is.
I could say if you were gonna go through the whole process, you know, I would put Mount Mason and Thompson Drive as 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Just because of location, being closer to town, being the view, being that country res initial, you know, urgency again. Johnny Friend looks great. I think it's got potential for the future, but again, I think those will be a tougher sell just for the big, long 16-minute commute that people would have to endure.
it's terrible.
And power too, like that
Yeah.
area is,
Yeah, really expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Thompson Drive, Mount Mason, you know, we've got so far with Thompson Drive, we're not saying that those are our top priority. Can I put them both in there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was just wondering about whether you had a sense. And I think going forward with consulting with Liard First Nation, it might just be best to sort of look at this package that we have, you know, sit down with them with this package of lots, like look at everything together. And then, and of course, feedback from them and public feedback will also help inform the priorities, right? So, yeah, okay.
I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry, it's not
No,
precise.
totally understandable. I just thought I'd just throw it out there and get a sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Okay, thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So I hope everybody found that very informative. That was great. Long. Apologies. Much needed though, right? Okay, so we're gonna get into our regular council meeting.
Motion
It's
to
a
adopt
commi-
the agenda? Is that what you're looking for? Sorry.
Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll second that.
Right. First, second. Thank you. Carrie, all in favor?
Right.
Adopt the draft minutes from the regular meeting of January 19th, 2021.
Motion.
Thank you, Councillor Labonte.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchel. All in favor? Carried. Motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $651,992.99.
Before, what's on there? That's so.
I put it up on the screen for you there, Tom.
So one of the capital purchases.
So big purchases.
Oh, okay, yeah,
is the
okay.
loader. And then the other thing is our insurance for the year,
Wow.
which is 222,000.
I'll make a
Okay, 'cause
motion.
I saw that 651, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, well, those two of those purchases put us up into the, 500,000.
I'll make a motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $651,992.99.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. YG Land Development Branch, thank you. And we will do second reading of bylaw 2101 for the 2021 O&M budget.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
The second reading of bylaw 21-01 being a O&M budget.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. Thank you,
Second.
Councillor Labonte. All in favor? Questions, comments, concerns, changes from council?
Third reading.
Okay,
Not for me, thanks.
Me neither.
thank you. Yeah, leave it to the last one.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, thanks. Okay, second reading for bylaw 2102 being the 2021 capital budget amendment for,
So the one that's in front of you now is an amended one from the original one on the first reading. And the amendment is because of the costs of the renovations to the showers and sauna rooms at the rec center. Initially, we had in the budget $30,000, but we had contractors in to take a look to give us an estimate, and their estimates that they both have to be gutted and work done to the saunas and all the showers and the flooring, along with the wall, because there's mold issues, and the initial estimates come in at about $109,000.
Obviously a bit more than what we anticipated, so if there's any questions, comments, concerns before.
Would that still be would that be our money or is that the COVID?
So the recommendation was to reallocate the COVID restart money that we had from revenue losses from last year,
Okay.
which is, for lack of better terms, bonus money that would be rolled over in the budget.
Sorry, how much did you say that was?
The initial estimate was 109,000.
Or the initial one was 30K and this
30K
was
was
109.
Original, yeah.
Original budgeted amount.
And you would take it out of the revenue losses. Okay.
Yeah, from the COVID restart fund.
Okay.
So I would need a motion for the amended second reading of bylaw 2102 being a bylaw.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Bonte. All in favor? Carried. CAO report.
I'm going to be very brief because of the hour.
Yeah, please.
So work is continuing on the new municipal services building. Its progress is right on schedule. Ran into some issues with running of the sewer line, just due to the fact of where the power service is going to the Northern Light Center, but they're working around that. Infrastructure also met, as you heard in the Landsbrand's presentation, to look at adding in those lots on block 4 into the upgrades there on Stikine, because Stikine is in the first phase. They're also working on, engineers and consultants are working on the proposal for the rec center roof. So that is moving ahead. And the other thing is they're waiting to get confirmation on ISIP for the work on our infrastructure, which is in phase 1. So which would be like Y Drive, this like Stikine and all those ones that are prioritized in that report that came to council before. So they're moving ahead on that, which is nice to see, but they haven't got confirmation back from that we've received the funding. So odds are we're not going to have shovels in the ground on our infrastructure this summer.
How sad.
But it's just, there's such a priority in the backlog, right? So, but they are trying to push to get the rec center through so that something could be done this year on it. But we don't have a guarantee yet because it's another one that's sitting in the queue in Ottawa. So we're along for the ride on all of them. And as you know, we've had Barb retired from the recycling center. And so that caused a domino effect because the positions we're a union shop, positions were advertised internally. So Chad Rudd has been promoted as the new solid waste coordinator, and that vacated his scales position, which Monica Seegers-York applied for and internally. So she's been promoted. So that vacated her recycling position, which we've advertised, and it closed on Friday, and interviews are tomorrow on 3 candidates.
Nice.
So it's nice we got some buy-in, but to throw a twist to that, Norm Brown resigned as our landfill attendant. So now we're in the process of, I'm working on trying to figure out how we're gonna staff that. So he's moving, he's relocating due to family issues.
Oh,
His father's health is failing, so he's relocating to BC. So that caused us a domino effect, and unfortunately, it's put strains on Public Works because now Public Works is covering indefinitely at the landfill. And we're bouncing our trainees from the water treatment program out to cover vacancies everywhere. So we're you know, and with holidays and training and everything, we're running pretty thin. So we're trying our best. So anyways, that's just a quick update as to where we are.
Awesome.
Oh, and we did have an incident at the landfill, at the recycling building, in case anybody heard, or hears rumors on the street. We had a client at the recycling building, who parked their truck. They took the recycling into the building and were in the building for about 5 minutes. When there was a loud crash, their vehicle jumped into drive and ran into the front of the building.
Oh, no.
So we're dealing with insurance on having it fixed.
Was there a considerable amount of damage?
Under 10,000.
Okay.
So it's all covered through their insurance. So we're just working through the things. I've got a couple quotes in. It's just a
It's
matter.
unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate, but the huge thing was that nobody was injured.
Yes.
Somebody could have, because it took the front doors. So
Wow.
it could have been horrendous.
Kidding.
So anyways,
So is there,
that was Chad's first thing to deal with as a supervisor.
Oh, man.
so is there gonna be a thing to stop people from parking there, I guess?
Well, the only thing we could do is in the spring, put bollards in front of the front door so that nobody can.
Get that closer, whatever, yeah.
Mhm.
But then what's the odds on the vehicles jumping into?
I mean, for a couple of bullards for $300 each and it happening again.
Get him a couple of those nice ones with flowers. You can put flowers in there, man. It looks so pretty.
We should make the culprit of the vehicle pay for those bullards. Anyways, thanks, Cam, for your report.
Thank you.
Okay. There will be question period, so if you guys have some more questions, we can get to that real quick. So the next on our agenda is the 2021 tax rates review. Again, it's just for review. It's a mill rate discussion. Can keep it brief. I've asked to add this on here because in the past, we have done a 0% increase, which was great. And yes, it was a COVID year, which some COVID restart money. In our package, you can see a 0.25% increase, 0.5 increase, and a 1% increase. Going forward for years to come, we don't want to put our taxpayers into a 5% increase ever again. So even if we have healthy years going forward, I think it is great to put incremental increases to not shock our constituents. So that's why I've added this here. It's just for discussion and review. If you have any questions, concerns.
You want to discuss it now?
Sure, brief, if you have.
Okay, I personally am against any sort of increase of any sort. I feel like taxpayers are being hit with a lot of different increases right now, from carbon tax that was just increased. The electrical rates are going up right now, 11.5%. That's happening for everybody in Yukon. It was a COVID year. I mean, again, we didn't really see the effects of that like everywhere else in the country, fortunately, but still a rough year for a lot of people. And I just think, given the amount that we're going to take in from these teeny tiny increases, I just don't think it's worth it. When we haven't really demonstrated, what am I trying to say? We haven't shown how we are increasing our efficiencies in response to increasing those rates, if that makes sense.
Or like how we've increased our services, you mean?
Yeah, like the services haven't increased or gotten any better in result to that. Sorry, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense to me as well. I think that if we were going to increase that, we would, need to increase. Are we going to increase taxes, increase our services? Or are we going to keep our services the same and keep our taxes the same? That's my take.
Thomas?
I am so glad you guys said that. There's so many different, not only carbon tax, this tax, that tax, with our water is more expensive, the garbage bylaw is an extra $240 a year. We just raised the fees and things it's not $69 a ton, it's $80 a ton now. And like we raised this, we raised animal stuff, we raised. Things getting raised. It'd be nice if the little man won once.
Yeah, no, and this is just we've had these,
And we have $1 million surplus, so it's hard to break.
this year we do.
Yeah,
This year we
it's
do.
hard to say to our ratepayers.
And you know, we have to,
Surplus,
we have,
raise taxes.
yeah, we have to really commend administration's efficiencies.
Yes.
And, you know, those efficiencies might not last forever. You know, there's only so much that the staff we have can do. We want our services to increase. Absolutely. That's the ultimate goal. You know, if you're not, there's always going to be increased costs, no matter the way you look at it. I mean, I think that when I first took over, there hadn't been a rate increase on anything for probably 10, 15 years. So there's a complete relook at that. So there wasn't much. Anyways, I just wanted to put this out there because through conversations with, you know, any kind of government entity, things go up. And you don't want to do a 5% increase. And yes, they are small and incremental. That's why they're almost unnoticed. And that's why it's, you know, it shows that we care and that we want things to grow. And that's why I put it here. Okay.
Can I make one more comment when you're done?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I do just want to make one more comment about like everything else going up is not a reason for us to not go up. I don't think that it's fair that everybody else can charge more and then we get left holding the bag with all these costs when we can't afford them. So saying that like our power and all this is going up, like, yeah, those are businesses. And, you know, if anybody's feet we should be holding into the fire, it's theirs, not our own. We need that money. And just to touch on what Chris said, we did not have a lot of increases over the past 10 to 15 years, but we did have a lot of service increases without increasing our taxes. So we are playing a little bit of catch up right now. So I think that's worth considering as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. No, it's just for it. I got your point. If that's it, did you want to add something?
No, it's limited increase is indirect, like dramatically indirect.
Okay. Okay. My apologies. Maybe I missed some, maybe I overstepped there, but anyways, I just wanted to put it out there. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, and it's up to council, council's decision. It's there. It's provided. That's it. So thank you for your comments. Great. BDO auditors, did everybody have a chance to read that?
I was just wondering what the point of, like, is that just to say that we're going to use them as the auditors for the year, basically? They're just,
It's just an information package to council as to what they're gonna do during the audit.
oh, okay.
It's a requirement that has to be done. Their rate this year is about, I want to say about $15,000, maybe closer to $20,000 cheaper than last year. And part of that is due to COVID because they're not traveling here. But the biggest part is the efficiencies that our finance department has done. We are so far ahead of where we were. And we've actually submitted a bunch of our year-end stuff to them already. And Shannon has already closed off 2020, which is unheard of for us. So we're light years ahead, and so which is it shows during our audit. So my compliments to the rest of the administration staff on the financial side.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. There's no correspondence, so Councillor Forum, any questions?
When will the community get an update on the OCP?
Good question.
Yeah, I spoke with Zoe today, actually, and she was still waiting for LFN because she's trying to schedule a trip down here to do a public presentation and also meet with LFN. But as per council's conversation with LFN, we thought, at least administration was under the understanding that they would be following up with Stantec, and so far they haven't. So I brought that topic forward today to see if we can see.
But once that happens, there is some sort of plan to maybe have some sort of community meeting or information session.
She has all that all planned. It's just we're trying to get as much bang for the buck of them coming down, because right now we need LFN to participate. And if we don't, then we're sort of just spinning our tires, and there's no sense doing a bunch of work that might have to be redone.
Okay, I have one more. Are we still doing town crier?
We've had that conversation. We're trying to figure out what's the best way to get everything out.
Okay.
I participated
I
actually,
said somebody asked me about that, and then my second part to that was if we are doing it, are we gonna put it on the website?
yes.
Hopefully.
Have we not been doing it?
No, we
I just don't go
haven't.
to the store very often.
Yeah, no, we haven't been doing it since the COVID thing.
Okay.
And so there's all kinds of different options out there. And actually, I just participated partially yesterday in a webinar with our website provider, where they have actually got a 1 point in contact system that they've developed for communication, social media, text messaging and phone rollout, along with website interconnect, which would be, that way we wouldn't have to go to Facebook and Instagram and our website. It's all one central post. So I'm still following up on that. So, but we've internally, we spoke about coming up with something like the town crier, but something that we would post one information thing to. So
I like the opportunity for reimagining it,
yeah.
to be honest.
But-
It wasn't bad, it just probably needed some.
Well, and it's been around for a while.
Yeah, it just needs to be reimagined.
Nice to, I agree with you on that. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
It just seemed to disappear into the
Yeah.
night.
And
It
then
honestly
That's
did.
all.
So, and we've been trying to use Facebook and the website, but there is a gap there. So it's a
Yeah.
matter of trying, because, we have 3 different Facebook accounts. Because we
But I
have
just,
we have
yeah,
rec
recycling,
center,
we have rec
recycling.
center, and we have the town.
and I totally understand what you're saying. I just, there is still that demographic of people that pick up the flyers from the grocery store that
Yep.
like to
they like it.
read that and rely on that for a lot of
And it comes down
information.
to the bang for our buck, right? Because
Mhm.
the town car has been very expensive for us to produce.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I can see that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thomas?
Oh, did we get a grader fixed?
our grader,
And then something came undone or something like that?
yeah, there was a bolt, there was the pin, the center pin on the front plow backed off.
Oh, so it's just a matter of putting it back?
Well, we had to chase the threads on it, but yeah,
Okay,
but it's not like a 5/8 or 1-inch bolt. It's like a 4-inch bolt.
Hmm.
So it had to go to the machine shop, just to have the threads chased. It was a matter of, a couple hours work and it was back in service. Yeah.
Okay. Aaron?
Nope, I'm good. I was just checking my notes to make sure.
Awesome. All right, so this is a committee of the whole, so we're gonna go to the gallery open forum. Been a long night, so hopefully we can have some quick question and answer. Gord, you're at the top of the list. Do you have any questions with regards to our committee of the whole meeting?
No, I'm good here.
Thanks,
I
Gord.
did miss one item there with the Yukon guys there, but there was just a comment about the pipeline. I've walked that. It actually laid on the ground all the way from town out past the ski hill. So if you ever want to find that one, I'll show you.
Okay, sounds great.
Other than
Thanks.
that, all good, guys. Appreciate you. Bye.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Next on the list, Janice and Randy, thank you. Sorry. Any questions?
Yeah, no, we don't have any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Leela and Jerry, do you have any questions?
Actually, yes, I do have a question for you with my tourism hat on. With the bathrooms renovations and the rec center stuff, is there going to be an impact on our facility if we open in May? And do you have any idea on a timeline for the fixing in those bathrooms?
It will technically not affect your operations at the Visitors Information Center because we do have the other washrooms that are in the lobby. And we don't have a time frame because of the fact that we couldn't proceed with anything other than waiting for the budget to be passed. But there is some more good news that's coming down the pipe regarding the canteen at the rec center. So there will be an announcement coming out shortly about it, which will actually benefit your visitors information center. So, yeah, so I don't have a time frame, but we do have lots of extra washrooms on the main floor there. And as you know, where the showers are down at that end, yes, it will be an inconvenience, but it's not like there will not be accessible washrooms.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, that's it from the gallery. So I will close the gallery open forum unless there's anything else. Awesome. All right. So there's nothing for in-camera adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor?
Bye.
Carried. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Still under record.